Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. A new survey of New Hampshire business leaders is revealing. It shows their key concerns as they prepare for 2025, but one concern tops the list and may surprise some. Top concerns of New Hampshire business leaders survey: cybersecurity with political and social instability. Now here's some additional concerns. Survey: the costs increases of health care, wages and energy, workforce for qualified workers in particular, AI technology, just using it, housing supply and affordability. And here is New Hampshire business leaders' #1 public policy issue: widespread concern. Affordable housing, no surprise. It says the state should enact reasonable limits on restrictive local zoning regulations, as well as on the time required for approval of new developments. And note the long blue bars showing business leaders agree with that statement. With me are two individuals responsible for the survey: Michael Skelton, President and CEO of the Business and Industry Association of New Hampshire, who sponsored the survey, and the individual who did the survey, Dr. Max Latona, Executive Director of the Center for Ethics and Society at St. Anselm College. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Max, quickly, how many businesses did you interview, and were they big and small?
We had 126 of the top business leaders from around the state answer, and they're from both large and small businesses. Large businesses, over 100 million in revenue, over 500 employees. Small businesses, under $1 million in revenue, less than 11 employees.
Right. Michael, business leaders, their top overall concern, cybersecurity with social and political instability. That caught my attention.
Yeah.
That appears to be more of a concern now than it used to be.
Very interesting feedback there. I think the political and social instability was tied to, at survey time, right. The election was upcoming. People were speculating on what the fallout from that might be. But cybersecurity, I think that tracks with how much technology is intersected with everyday business, everyday lives now, and there's just more exposure, more bad players out there that can impact businesses using technology.
The top public policy concern, no surprise, affordable housing, but in particular local zoning that restricts development of that housing for workforce. The question is, are New Hampshire communities open to zoning changes in zoning to allow that housing, Max?
I would say more and more they are. That's true. We've seen over the last year more and more communities making small adjustments to their zoning to make housing more affordable in their community, but we need more, Fred. We just need more, not only in those communities, but across the state.
Another survey question was about the cost increases in healthcare, wages, and energy, listed as major concerns, which are also concerns of individual citizens, as we just saw in the elections. So the question is, were there any comments about what to do about it?
Yeah, we didn't ask survey respondents about potential solutions, but really for the BIA and many other business organizations, we're going to use this information to shape a policy agenda on what we can do about these things. There are certain issues like healthcare and energy that have macro factors outside of New Hampshire that we can't control for, but there are, legitimate policy solutions that we can try to move forward here in New Hampshire to address those issues, and I think the upcoming legislature is going to want to do that.
Did you pick up any comments, Max, when you did the survey?
No, but I think business leaders were excited and happy to have an opportunity to add their voices to some of these questions. So.
Yeah. Elections would change anything? The elections change anything?
I suspect, the concern about political and social instability still exists to some extent, but hopefully we'll see policymakers make some
Mike,
changes.
same question, real quick.
Well, I think in New Hampshire, obviously the outcome in the State House means that the Governor-elect Kelly Ayotte's going to have a majority in both the House and the Senate to work with, and we'll see what that yields in terms of a pro-business agenda, but we're encouraged to be able to work with all the newly elected legislators.
Thank you, both. My thanks to Dr. Max Latona and the Center for Ethics in Society at St. Anselm College, and to Mike Skelton, President and CEO of the Business and Industry Association of New Hampshire. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
If you missed part of this briefing, you can go to WMUR.com, where it will be posted all this week.